Hello, and welcome to another episode of Improperly Packaged, a show where we unbox topics related to movies, TV, games, whatever. I'm Jordan. With me is Luke. How you doing, Luke? I see you getting your stretch in.
Oh, getting ready. Here we go.
Ooh, that old.
Got to bring it for the people. Got to bring the entertainment.
Yeah,
Even though I'm only talking.
Yeah, it's good to stay limber. I don't know. Have you
stretch one muscle, you stretch them all. That's what I always say.
So true. Maybe I need to stretch.
Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. Do you stretch often?
No, we've talked about this.
Have we?
Not nearly enough. I have so many issues with my back, and I think it's all stemming from my legs
stretching.
and my hips, and yeah, I really do. I mean, it's all connected, right?
Do you make a lot of old people noise when you get up and you sit down?
Far more than I used
to.
Exactly.
That sort of deal.
I think we're all I, and all the buddies we have.
Yeah.
We're hitting that time.
Our user interface, as you say, UI, right? Our user interface is
UI.
getting a little dated. It's not running quite as snappy as it used to. Enjoying
Actually, this would be UX, user experience.
Oh yeah, I forgot. There's so many variations.
The UX is running a little rough. We need a retune.
I'm enjoying a nice seltzer water, Polar.
There you go.
When I was thinking about it, because I was running upstairs with it, and I was thinking it's not gonna blow up, right? But it made me think.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time a fizzy drink has exploded on you?
Been long enough that I can't remember.
I don't think it happens anymore. I don't think it's possible anymore, because it seems like it only happened when I was younger.
It seems like the seltzer waters are over fizzy.
I know.
Doesn't it? They're super. I don't know what it would be. I know there's a term and I can't think of it right now.
Well,
carbonated. That's the term. Yeah.
When your main appeal is the fact that it's carbonated.
Yeah.
You got to bring your A game.
Just keep pumping it in, Jimmy. Just keep on pumping.
Turn it off. No, keep going with the carbonation.
More.
He's crazy.
He's taking it to 9,000.
I have never had a seltzer water or anything explode on me. And I think either we were just crazy when we were kids and every time we grabbed a soda,
for it.
we were just shaking it and shaking it. But I don't know. It's been a long time.
Usually when I dropped it and it dents the corner and then the top is pushed up some and you're like, oh boy.
And you deign to open it.
That is the gateway to all kinds of pain if I pop that lid.
You just didn't have as much to lose when you were a kid, I guess. You're just I'll open it.
Wasn't the idea that you just had to wait and it would calm down? It would chill out?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I remember.
It takes time for to not have an eruption.
All good things take time, right? It applies to sodas that have been dropped on their backside.
But anyways, it hasn't happened. I keep thinking it's gonna happen. It seems to happen more with 2 liters is the thing, right?
You were shaking it just now?
No,
when you were going up the stairs?
I was running up the stairs with it, and I was thinking, is it gonna blow? And I was like, nah. When's the last time that's happened?
You should try it.
I should try
Get another one. Shake it violently. Open it right in front of your face. This has nothing to do with this, and this is even more of a rabbit hole. But I was just watching some, I don't know, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And do you know that challenge where people were putting rubber bands on things?
Yeah.
Over and over again. They were doing it with watermelons. That was a big one. Well, this guy in particular was doing a bottle of milk.
Oh my God.
So he was like, explosion in 3, 2, 1. He had it right in his face. So he just got knocked back by the milk shooting out of the half gallon. What are you thinking? He thought it was going to explode in the middle, I guess.
Yeah.
This isn't a watermelon.
Oh my God.
It's a bottle of milk.
The pressure's going up to the top where there's a lid.
Yeah. Especially when he's opening it. He's like, here we go.
Oh, geez.
And he had it faced right towards him. How stupid can you be?
I think we are having a renaissance of stupid videos online.
Yeah.
Of course it was
TikTok challenges are pushing it forward.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where I want so much to scoff and to hate it, but No, I'm sitting there laughing.
Yeah.
There's some funny stuff out there, man. I just I don't know.
Good old, what was it, America's Funniest Home Videos, AFV.
Oh yeah.
Those were dumber though. I feel like we're very sophisticated nowadays.
You know, I
We have
say
much
that
more funny things.
sometimes I would turn
Not true.
on America's Funniest Home Videos and be like, "Oh, geez, how dumb! This is stupid." And then all of a sudden, I'm freaking laughing my head off.
Yeah,
It-
yeah.
I think like, okay, so this is controversial when it comes to America's Funniest Home Videos. Are you team Bob Saget or Bergeron?
I'm probably Saget.
I don't know. Like,
I don't know why I didn't like Bergeron. I just didn't. I don't know.
so
He's a warm enough guy, but
Yeah.
something about him.
a lot of people don't like Bergeron, but for me, I think like something about when Saget does the voices, you know, like Bergeron will like narrate and he'll be like, "This puppy wasn't intending to get into," you know, stuff like that. But then Bob Saget will be like, "Oh, I'm a little puppy. I'm a little," and he'll like do a voice, and I don't know. I feel like there's a purity to Bergeron's
I can see that.
narration. I don't know, but Saget
He
worked
has
for me
a,
more when I was a kid, for sure. You know.
Yeah. No, Alfonso Ribeiro.
Is he doing it too?
That's who's hosting it now, right?
I'm sorry. Hosting it now? It's still going?
I think so.
Are they still videos from the 90s? You know?
I'm trying to see. Tom Bergeron left in 2015, giving Alfonso Ribeiro the right to host the show.
Wow.
Currently still hosts today.
I gotta see this.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. Because, like, it seems like they'd always have videos on there that's, like, way older than what the episode actually is. Like, the episode could be, like, airing in 2006, and the video would be, like, from 1992. It's like, what in the...
Yeah.
They're going through a stack, you know? I don't know.
Saget went from 89 to 97, and then it looks like he came back to like guest host a couple times.
All right. Okay.
Wow, 89. He had a long run there.
Well, good job, Mr. Saget. You raunchy man.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Sorry, I did not know it was going to take a turn into AFV, but let's talk about what we've been watching / playing / listening to and get into a little bit.
Get into it, Jordan.
Okay, listening to. Let's do it. You know, every now and then there's a song where you're just like, man, I just get to recommend a song. I don't know about the whole album, but the song. I got a couple songs that I very much enjoyed over the past week. First up, it's Fickle Friends. It's a pop group, not a huge pop group, honestly. They've been around for a little bit, but they released a new EP. It's a good EP. I highly recommend it. 4 songs, not too long, but one song, I'm like, man, what a chorus! You know, when a chorus, you're just like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
What a hook. This is great. Oh my gosh. Like we were talking about that one song, Cool, by Dua, I can't say her name, I'm sorry.
Dua Lipa.
Thank you. This one's called Cosmic Coming of Age. And man, what a great chorus. I'm just like, yeah, it just gets me excited, energized. I love it. Love it. And just real quick, because I'm pretty sure I'll forget about this by next week. But Charlie Adams, I don't really listen to her too much. She's kind of like, you know, solo artist, pop singer, kind of got the 80s vibe going on too. She released a single called Headspace featuring Rustin Kelly, which really surprised me because Rustin Kelly, as we know, is like that Southern folk alternative kind of thing. And here he is singing with her on this like pop song. And, you know, it's just really cool hearing his voice kind of doing something that's a little bit more pop. You know, it's, you know, just as great as his other stuff, but it's just interesting.
What's her name again? Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie with just Charli, no E, Adams. And the song's called Headspace. It was just released I think today or something, but
Sweet.
very nice. Sounds really great. So what about you? Have you been listening to anything?
Been hearted.
Hearted. You hearted that.
So I've been on a little Killers kick here recently, and they have a new album out. It's it's pretty good. I need to watch. I need to watch. I need to listen to some more of it. But I really went back to the good old man, 2012 Battleborn. That album is fire. You and I talked about it back in the day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Every song on that album is really good. Some of them a little better than others, but all of them are just really good. That's an album I'm going to come back for the rest of my life. I love that album. I love their sound. It's very different than their other albums. They just like got in this like vein that just like hit a nerve with me, and I'm just like, oh, I love that album. So good.
Which vein?
But yeah. That, I don't know, electronic. I always say 80s, but it's not really 80s. I don't know how to define it, you know?
Yeah,
It's like
synth
it
pop.
sits in
I
this
don't know.
strange place where it's just like it feels familiar and old, but it also has a lot of new sounds to it. I think it's like all the electric sounds that are like an evolution of what they were doing
Yeah, yeah,
back in the 80s. Maybe like a Bowie kind of thing.
yeah.
like,
I think that's
Not the same,
Bowie.
but like, just similar stuff to what he was kind of doing. And U2 maybe, inspired by all those kind of guys. So love that album. Flesh and Bone, that song.
Get you right
So
in the groin. Anywho,
In a good way.
in a good way, of course. All right. I only have one thing. I think it's my turn. I don't know. Is it? Do you remember?
Good. I have a lot of things, so
Great.
I
know. I got that one thing for you. All right. So I said I'd talk about Nier Replicant when I was done. I'm done. I got the ultimate true ending E, which I believe is actually.
So how different is it than the game you'd already played?
Nier Automata. Okay, so it's okay, so this takes place about 10,000 years before that game, and as far as its like timeline, and there's kind of a more magical feel to it, where Nier Automata is very like technological, and its feel. This is magic based, and so
this is a completely different story.
Yeah, but
I'm so confused. I thought you said it was like the same game but redone.
I mean, no. Okay, so back in the PS3, Xbox 360 era is when a game called Nier in the United States came out, and that was the American version of Nier Replicant, which came out in Japan. They took that game, modernized it, gave new voice acting, upgraded the graphics, added some new stuff, and released it onto modern
So basically,
consoles.
you started with the sequel, and now you're going back to the original. Gotcha.
Yeah, started with a sequel, which there's like, you could easily do. Like, honestly, my friend Michael was like, I'm going to start. Which one should I start with? I was like, start with Autonoma. It's a better game that's like, it's more modern. It has modern things like fast travel is a lot more intuitive, and the gameplay is more snappy, and it's a little bit more fast-paced.
They stuck with the old gameplay, but updated all the old bits. Basically.
Yeah, from what I understand, the gameplay has been updated, like the combat a little bit. They've upgraded it to like 60 frames, and it feels more fluid, and it feels great. Combat feels good, but there's some
interesting.
There's a few things that like you could tell when something's older, which it's not really the graphics. Well, yeah, the graphics, but the main thing is kind of the antiquated like way they do quests, and kind of the way the story progresses. There's a lot of like, hey, go get me that thing, and you have to go get that thing. Oh, it's over there, and you go over there, then you go back there, then you go back. There's a lot of backtracking, Luke. Like, there's a lot of backtracking, and that's fine. Honestly, I'm fine with some backtracking because, yeah, I mean, it familiarizes you with the areas and kind of connects you with them a little bit more, but this one kind of takes a little overboard sometimes. That being said, there's some serious flaws in the way you have to backtrack and replay a lot of stuff. So, like Nier Automata, you have to complete the game like in a few different ways in order to get the final ending. In Nier Automata, I'll break it down a little bit for you. You beat the game, just kind of regular. You get ending A. You play it a second time with a different character. Same story, different character, slightly different cutscenes here and there. Third time, the story moves forward. And then you're like, it's almost like you're playing the sequel to that game you were playing. And then you just have to do a few things different. Then you get endings A through E. This game, however, you have to replay the game. You play the whole game, and then you have to play to get the first ending. Then for the second ending, you have to play the second half of the game again. Then to get to the other ending, you play the second half of the game again. And then to do it again, you have to like go back and do the boss again, and then you have to go to the first
you need
half.
A wiki to just understand what to do.
I'm not gonna lie. To get the final ending, I don't think there's a single way you would know how to do that unless you looked it up. It's not something insane. Like you have to like go back. Like it's one of those things where like the game seems like it's definitively over, which is insane to me because the ending E, they've obviously done the most work on. They've gone back and like this is the one they added for this version of the game. So with this one, you start to play as a new character, and like so they had to like create like new gameplay and a bunch of new cutscenes. And so they've obviously put a lot of work into it, but there's going to be a lot of people who play it and have no idea it's even there. And it's the true ending of the game. It's the one that and so I'll say this. I've said a few things that are negative. I think that's all the negative things I have to say because everything else about this game is for me. The music, incredible. And you know what? The characters in this one, I think, are better than the ones that are in Autonoma. I actually really like the characters. There's like, you're like this dude, kind of like a generic hero guy, but he has a really cool like voice. He's the guy who voices a lot of other games, actually. I like his voice. And you're accompanied by this floating book called a grimoire. He's like a magical book, but he has this personality. He talks to you. He's all pompous. He's like, he's like, always use my full name, human. I am Grimoire Weiss. And he's like always like talking like that, but there's a lot of humorous interaction that comes with it. And there's this girl called Kayane who's with you, and she's this girl who's like scantily clad, but in a way where it's like not like every other anime heroine. She's like in her lingerie, but they comment on it all the time. Like the first time you see that, he's like, Weiss, why is this woman in her underwear? And he's like always calling her hussy, and she cusses all the time, and she's the only source of profanity in the entire game, and they make fun of it constantly. And there's this like character called Emil who's like this magical boy who's like super sweet and nice, and he's the only carryover character into the new games. And so there's some connective tissue, which is what I'm going to talk about a little bit between these games, which is driving me crazy, and I have to talk about it. But anyways, the story's great. There's just the world and the lore they set up. It's fantastic. The combat's good, and there's just a lot of stuff that's innovative. Even now playing it, I'm like, that's cool. That's interesting, even though it's an old game. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. That kind of leads me to the little area that I'm in where I'm like, I feel like I need to know more about this world because it's all connected. This Autonoma and Nier Replicant, they're connected to the same world where I'm just like, it's almost like within the connectivity, the world is the character, where I'm like, what happened to the world? What happened to humanity? How did we get from here to there into Autonoma? Where did we, and the story is so, it's almost like they don't focus on it much in the singular games. You have to really look for a lot of it. And this brings me into the hole that I'm in right now. One, I'm going back like and forth between that game into Autonoma because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't do that follows up from Replicant. And I'm just like, wow, this is kind of blowing my mind here. So here's...
This is on PS5?
It's a...
Or Switch?
These are
not Switch.
Multi-platform games at this point.
Well, what are you playing?
I'm playing it on PS5. Yeah.
Okay.
They're not on Switch. I think they're just on PS5, PlayStation, and Xbox right now. And so here's the gist of things, okay? I'm going to try to do this without spoiling it for anyone. So at what sets off the whole saga is a dragon and a giant fall from the heavens, and they're into Tokyo, modern day Tokyo, and and basically what happens, they're dispatched by the US government. But that brings magic into the world. Like whatever that happens, that brings magic into the world. But with the ability to like harness magic, it like also creates this magical disease that runs throughout the entire world, almost like a plague. And so like they get magic, and so they have to kind of cobble together science and magic to combat the disease and all the problems that magic is bringing into the world. And that kind of sets off everything. And it's crazy because Autonoma is a world without magic, because this is a minor spoiler, not really. It's a world without humans. They're all androids. And so it's like looking into the details of how humans dealt with this, what they did, and them trying to cling on to life and cling on to existence in this world that's where fate and the gods or whatever are overcoming them. And it's so fascinating. And this is bringing me into what I'm doing right now. So the dragon and the giant, they're not just from nowhere. They come from something. They come from another series of video games created by the same director who makes Nier, the current Nier saga.
That's neat.
It's from a series called Drakengard. I kept hearing it because I had to like look up these videos, being like, "What does this mean?" And I kept hearing, "Well, in the Drakengard series," and I'll be like, "Wait, what?" And so this is a new person here that you're looking at who is trying to play the Drakengard games in 2021. Drakengard, the original, is a PlayStation 2 game. The physical copy is going for like $80 or something like that on eBay.
To the PSN story that we were complaining about, how it's not all one store.
So here I am, tugging at the coattails of the good graces of how far emulation has come on modern day computers.
Ugh.
So I'm playing this game on my
frustrating.
PC.
You can't just play it on PS5.
Oh my God. You're telling me. And so here I am having to do this stuff. Thankfully, okay, there are two games that matter in this. Drakengard 1 and Drakengard 3. Drakengard 2 apparently wasn't directed by the same guy and is no longer canon. But Drakengard 1 and Drakengard 3 are frequently referenced throughout the Nier saga. And I'm playing them. I bought Drakengard 3 on my PlayStation 3, the console in which it came out. And I am playing Drakengard 1 on my PC. Drakengard 1 being Drakengard 3 being the prequel to Drakengard 1. Here we freaking go.
I got confused. You got it on your PS3?
I got Drakengard 3 on my PlayStation 3 and Drakengard 1
so you're
on my
working
PC.
your way up to that?
Yeah, I just need to play one. I just need to play 1 and 3 really. And let me tell you, Luke, I'm playing Drakengard 1. That's an old game. That's a very old game, and not in a way where it's like it's obscure and old. And there's that game, while the story is fascinating and I'm enjoying the story, man, the gameplay is jank. It is some jank.
Does it just feel old?
Multiple things, Luke.
You can just feel that.
There's multiple things. Like the gameplay is different. It's not like a Nier game. It's more similar to something like Dynasty Warriors, I would say, where you're dropped into a battlefield.
Yeah.
And it's your job.
I know that well.
Yeah, to go around and kill everyone in sight. Basically, that's what you do. And you're basically switching between on the ground combat and in the air, like kind of shooting down as a dragon. And it's kind of cool because like you can jump from the dragon onto the ground and like switch it up. But let me tell you, Luke, the gameplay controls when you're on foot slashing and hacking and slashing are pretty bad. They're pretty bad, I gotta say. That thankfully
sounds like something that if it was redone in the modern age, it could be pretty neat.
Yeah, because like the whole going back and forth and like being like, okay, I'm gonna take these guys from the air. These guys
be easy to do now.
Yeah, or these guys have a lot of bows and are knocking me off my dragon, so I'm just gonna go off and fight these guys with my sword and my magic. Because
I'm
like
blanking on the name of it, but it reminds me a little bit of what is the Lord of the Rings game with the Nemesis system?
Oh yeah. Shadow of Mordor, and like and whatever you want of Mordor.
almost a little bit of a modern age Dynasty Warriors, but
And the
not
aesthetic is similar too.
quite as big of battles. But yeah,
Luckily,
similar.
it's easy, and honestly, I'm just kind of hacking and slashing my way through it, and just looking at the clips.
How does that compare to the moment to moment gameplay in Near Automata or Replicant?
It really doesn't.
Well,
And-
those two games are different.
yeah, well, they're very similar though. In like the gameplay department, like Replicant's older and you can tell, but it's the same bones as far as like how the games work. Yeah, you're dropped off in an open area pretty much where you can talk to a bunch of people, take quests, and go off and hack and slash a bunch of people and kind of go to different areas at your leisure. And yeah, and this one, like that one's more, the Nier game's a little bit more RPG, where this one's a lot more like hack and slash fantasy.
So a little Zelda, maybe.
Maybe I would honestly say the Nier games are more like Zelda. That's
what I mean, the
yeah,
Nier, yeah.
Absolutely, very much. There's a lot like Zelda in that way.
Mhm.
The Drakengard games are very much more, yeah, Dynasty Warriors, where it's like here's this stage,
More larger battles.
yeah, here's this stage, next stage, now you're on this battlefield, here's your goal, there are your targets on the map, kill those guys, on to the next one. And there'll be like flying stages, where the flying stages are okay, where you're flying on the dragon, blasting stuff, that's fine, it's okay, it's nothing to write home about. But the on ground stuff is so dinky, where it's
Yeah.
it's but it's
Those are
not
the kind of things that
painful.
make it hard for me to go back to old games when it's like that. It's like I feel like I'm wasting my time playing this when I could be playing a more modern game that's more fun. But
I'm not doing anything reasonable
sometimes
here,
you
Luke.
want to just
Yeah,
experience old things.
absolutely. I'm not
I
doing
get
anything
that.
reasonable. Honestly, I wouldn't suggest you do what I'm doing. If you go and like you play these Nier games, which I suggest you do,
You're just seeking an experience.
yeah,
I understand.
yeah, you could easily look up online explanations of the story and walkthroughs or gameplay videos of Drakengard, and you'll be fine. I don't know why. I just feel compelled. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Following your heart.
I'm following my heart. But thankfully, Drakengard 3, just from what I see in the gameplay videos, looks immensely improved. Immensely. You'd imagine the jump from PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 was pretty big.
Yep.
The improvement
Mhm.
looks gigantic. So yeah, looking forward to that. But that's
So,
what I'm doing.
hashtag bring back Drakengard
Hashtag bring
for
me
new
the
consoles.
yeah, bring me that HD upgrade.
Maybe that's their next
some-
project. Hey.
Maybe.
Or a new one, just like a whole new one.
Yeah, I'm down. But
Sounds like cool gameplay.
yeah. It's like I'm just the story is very interesting. How I'm really interested to see the connective tissues and the things that are referenced within Nier. I never heard of such a thing. How a game's world being connected in this way to things that don't seem related at all. It'd be like if I heard how the Mario Brothers franchise fit into the Halo franchise. Okay, maybe not that ridiculous, but
Or if Destiny somehow connected in with Halo, it'd be like that.
Exactly. And you're like, how
like,
is the
what?
flood going to come into this? It's exactly right.
Ooh, that could be really cool.
Hey, you listening,
Not a bad
Bungie?
idea. With the darkness came the flood.
You won't, Bungie. You won't. That's what I got. That's what I got. I'm knee deep, man. I'm knee deep into this guy's Yoko Toro. I believe that's the director. I'm in his world right now.
The complicated web he has spun for you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
So it's one of those weeks. I feel like I've kind of reached a place finally with like my son that I feel like my wife and I like really know what we're doing now.
Nice.
I mean, it's still, it's tough. It's, it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure, CJ, for instance, who I know listens to our show. I mean, he knows well. He has two girls, so he knows it's always hard. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like we've gotten to a place where we can we have more time to like do the things that you and I talk about week to week. And so
He has a
this
job.
week I
Is that what
actually
you're trying to tell me?
that would be nice. This week I finally got to watch some stuff. And I'm plugging away at old movies. It's it's something I just want to continue to do, honestly, just indefinitely.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lifetime supply, really, of old movies that I think are worth watching. And the hardest part is finding, sorting the crap from the the gold nuggets.
Yeah.
And so, there's actually two of those in here where one I think was a little bit not my thing, and one of them was more my thing. So I got to watch all of Midnight Run this week.
Oh, okay.
1988. De Niro. And there's quite a few people in here you'd probably recognize from other things. Dennis Farina, Joe Pantaleone from probably The Matrix would be the more
Joe
modern thing a
Pants,
lot of people
yes.
would know him from. Charlie Grodin, who was the father in Beethoven, which is the only thing I know him from. But yeah, I mean, he's a major
movie
part
where
of
he's
this,
an angel
this
or
movie.
something. I remember that one. Anyways,
Yeah.
Clifford.
I think he's been in a lot of stuff, honestly. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, De Niro's obviously the thing that everybody knows him.
Yeah, I've seen him before.
De Niro is the thing that people know Midnight Run for. I do not like this new IMDb. But yeah, this is the story of a bounty hunter. He also has, there's bounty hunter adjacents in this movie, but basically follows Robert De Niro as a bounty hunter, and he's making this quote unquote midnight run. He's got a few days to get a guy all the way across the country, and he's a mob target, and craziness ensues because of that storyline. And yeah, it's a good movie. It's not one that I would say is amazing or anything, but it's a quality movie. De Niro is a great actor, and this is a good movie. I don't have a lot else to say about it. I think it's one that I would suggest if anybody's trying to watch, some old ones that, I don't know. I was going to say old classics. I don't know. To me, that's like person to person, whether or not you consider something an old classic. Probably a lot of people consider this classic. I've heard this referred to a lot, and that's one of the reasons I watched it.
Yeah.
So, back in the day, things were more original than they were now. I say this every time I talk about these old movies, but yeah, it's on HBO. I don't think it's on Prime. It's always confusing how IMDb does the where you can watch it thing, but HBO Max, I think, is the place to watch it if you have that subscription. So
I don't believe I've seen it. It's interesting to see that see Charles Grodin in this. I mean, I've grown up with him, knowing him as the straight man in a lot of comedies, and so yeah, it's interesting to see him alongside of De Niro in a cover holding a gun. I don't know.
He's a good straight man.
Yeah,
his voice. There's something like so monotone about his voice, and
he's cranky.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's there for.
I was trying to look at what else he's been in. So much stuff. Hasn't been in one since 2017 though.
Is he still alive?
He was in Louis for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's still alive.
All right.
1935. Pretty old.
Yeah, he might be done. I'd be done.
He's what, in his mid to late 80s? Nobody knows that math. So I also watched the new show from Apple TV Plus, The Mosquito Coast, which this is actually one I probably should go back and watch. There's the old movie with Harrison Ford called The Mosquito Coast.
Oh yeah,
and I don't know if this is like just directly that, but like redone for a modern era with starring Justin Theroux. But yeah, I don't know if it is or not. So I'm not basing it off that. If you're listening to me and you know that is true, then okay, I'll have to watch that movie at some point. Just the fact that Harrison Ford's in it means I should watch it.
We can't just take that title. I mean, that's a unique title. It has to be something, right?
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah, you would definitely think so.
Yeah.
But this is a show that there's not really the mother in the show is Melissa George. I think she's been in a few things, but really Justin Theroux is the only household name that you're gonna know. The kids are kind of people I might have seen in something here and there, but I think we're 3 episodes in now, and we're my wife's definitely more on the fence than I am on this, but it's interesting enough. It's kind of the idea of a family's caught up in something, you don't know what they've done, and they're having to run from the government, the police. You're not really sure why or
Mm.
who's really chasing them, but I'm trying to be as broad as I can on this. But yeah, I think this is worth a watch. This is the first Apple TV Plus show that I've seen of this kind, where it's more of like a high heart rate, upbeat, like chase drama show versus like your more melancholy, slower drama.
Office drama or whatever,
Yeah, I mean, like the morning show is obviously like the biggest one that got like talked about when Apple TV Plus was premiering. But there's been like some courtroom drama movies. There's been some thrillers, but this is more like hard hitting. I guess you'd consider it thriller, mostly drama, a little bit of adventure. But yeah, it's interesting enough. Justin Theroux, he's a good enough actor that I'm here for the show. It's got enough mystery to it that it's interesting enough. It sits in that place that feels like an HBO Max, show where I kind of like that. With The Outsider, not nearly as like sci-fi mystery based as The Outsider was, but kind of how The Outsider was very much based in mystery, and it pushes you to the end. I found the more of these kind of shows I've watched, the more I realize the thing I like about these shows is when less and less is known and more mystery is slowly revealed as the show goes. I think it's one of the reasons I like Lost so much and why it's just, one of my favorite shows. But yeah, this one's pretty good. It's interesting enough. Apple TV Plus also just started releasing. They released the first 2 episodes of the Mythic Quest comedy show about a video game producing company, video game studio, and it's pretty funny. It's
just started season 2, right?
Yeah, it's very much the team behind It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, with a lot of other people involved in it. So it's got notes of other things in it, but it's got a good cast. I think that's one of the good thing. David Hornsby, he's a Rickety Cricket. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And Danny Pudi, which from Community, he's great.
I bet.
And Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny. Yeah, there's a lot of good, funny people on the show. So
he's a creator of this too, right? Because I know he's the creator of Always Sunny.
I think Charlie Day, actually. Yeah, Rob McElhenney and Charlie Day. Megan Gaines is also credited as one of the creators. I don't know who that is. I guess she was a producer on Community, Modern Family, Last Man on Earth. So
yeah,
she does a lot of TV stuff.
So we got good people on this, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this would have done well if Charlie could have had a role on there. I always like Charlie.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
His manic personality adds a lot, I think, to a lot of these comedies, that especially ones that like take place in like the office or a bar or something like that. He's so good.
So I'm gonna take a little diversion here in the middle of other things I've been watching, Jordan. And so I went back to the theater again.
All right.
And got to see Nobody for a second time with my father. And yeah, I hate to say it, but we went to an early showing on a weekday, so I like to think that that's to blame. But for the first 10 minutes of the movie, we're completely alone, and then one fella walked in, and that was it.
What happened? One person?
Yeah. It was just me and my dad for the first like 10 minutes, and then somebody walked in late, and yeah, there was one other person. So yeah, my first thought is I feel bad for Nobody, because I looked at the show times, and Thursday is the last showing. Is the last showing they have listed in any of our theaters here in town for Nobody, a movie that's been out like 3 weeks now.
I see. I thought you were going in a different direction. I thought you were
I'm
saying
going in
this.
two different directions actually. And
Oh,
my
I'll
second
I'll
direction
hold
is
on to my butts.
I'm concerned for the theaters. It's
Yeah.
very sad to see how few people were there. I mean, it was 450. It was a matinee. So I mean, those are already slow. So, okay. But there was like two people in the lobby. And there was a lot of movies that like play at that like 4:50, 5 o'clock showtime. So like if people were going to be at those showtimes, there would
Yeah.
have been people in there. So
I'm looking at the show times that they have. I don't know if they have the staff they need at this point. Is another
ugh,
potential concern.
gosh.
There's a lot of places here. You know how movie theaters they will have show times at like 11 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
It does not seem to really be the case.
Which nobody had it at like 1:30, and then it got pushed back to 4:50. There was only two showtimes
Yeah.
when we saw it yesterday. No, the day before.
Right now,
Monday.
it looks
Tuesday.
like show times are starting at
Tuesday.
the earliest around 3:30. So there's no like 11 or 12 or anything like that. It could be because of demand, or also could be due to staffing. It's
This hiring shortage thing is just infuriating.
yeah, it's
Get back to work, people.
yeah. People are needed.
I won't
for
preach
sure.
at you, but get back to work.
Yeah, I mean, we went out to eat last night too, and we went to Yamato's.
We did
Jap-
too.
Oh, are you
On
serious?
Monday.
Oh,
On
I'm about to
Monday.
say, were you there? Yeah, and
No.
they had to close. They're not open for lunch because they don't have the staff. So that's unfortunate. But I hope things pick up. I mean, we talked about this a little bit. How it's going to be a
The guy who was cooking actually said that things had gotten better.
Okay.
He said things were looking pretty dark there at Yamato, but they had been able to hire some new people and things were getting better, is what
That's
he said.
good.
But yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. So yeah, at first I thought you were about to say this one guy came in and just started acting crazy or something. It's like I don't know, because that's always on my mind. I'm like, oh no, who's gonna ruin the movie for me? So I was like, what? One guy? What did he do? Is he talking to himself? Okay. That is depressing though. That is depressing. I actually lost my for some reason like my Zoom window. Like it isn't like it had some sort of glitch, so it's like actually went white. So great, but I can still hear you though, and that's what we need for the podcast. So
That's so weird.
yeah, it's very weird.
That's so strange.
I know. It's weird. I thought like it was gonna shut down, so I'm not really sure exactly what happened. But
It's kind of laggy.
oh, is it?
Do you want to try to reconnect?
Yeah. Let's do that. That.
Can you stitch them together?
Hold on one second. I think so. Give me a moment.
This is the first time we've had problems like this.
I know. I think it's my computer. I don't know what happened, but for some reason it was just like boop, and then like the OBS is going good, but Zoom is just messed up. All right, so hold up. I'm gonna go ahead and close it, and
Okay.
yeah, we'll go from there. Okay. All right, we're back. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't really matter. I'm not able to get the recording off of Zoom, so it's fine. I'm basically what I'm gonna do.
What?
I've had to do it a few times where I've like taken the YouTube video, downloaded it, and then just get the audio from that. It's worked out fine.
Why can't you get it off the Zoom?
It's went wrong. Like something went wrong with the recording, and it was just like, see you
Oh my
later.
God.
Well, it's fine. I can just download the YouTube video.
That's ridiculous.
It's pretty simple. I just have to drag it over to Logic, and it's like, you want the audio, right? Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
But anywho, let's you want to go ahead and dive into our topic, Luke?
You are not recording.
Oh yeah. There we go. Boom. I'm recording. We're professionals. It's fine.
So I just had two
Oh,
quick
sorry,
things.
sorry. I don't want to cut you off. Okay.
I also started another old movie I went back to was Raging Bull,
Oh,
and I got 10 minutes into that movie and I was done. I didn't want to
wow.
watch any more of it. It just, I don't know. Something about that movie. Scorsese, like, I don't know. I wonder I always wonder how far I want to go with my like criticisms here. But obviously, Scorsese has made some great movies and some movies that I've really enjoyed. But he's also made some movies that I just don't really enjoy. Just playing it down, don't really like. Um, The Irishman, for instance, was one that, obviously it's like his most recent movie, and yeah, I I didn't love that movie.
Go ahead. Get him,
But
Luke. Get him.
I mean, Scorsese's a great director. It's just sometimes I think his vision doesn't match up with what's interesting for people to watch. It's I don't know how to put it. It just
Some of his movies are
like
boring.
the Irishman, for instance, like
What you're saying.
it's a very interesting story. Obviously, it's an historical story that's centered around like one of the craziest things that's happened in American history. Like, with I don't remember all the people involved, but it's a very interesting thing, and it could have been like one of the better gangster movies ever. Really, it
Yeah.
very much could have, but it just really dragged. And sorry, I'm getting off on the Irishman,
You're
but
trying to
Raging
say it
Bull
didn't need to be
specifically,
4 hours?
that too, and the de-aging really made it suffer. But Raging Bull, like, I'm sure this is a good movie overall, and I probably should have given it more time. But the whole beginning, have you seen this movie, Jordan?
I've never seen it. I own it on like this weird like Oscar best of thing, but no, I haven't seen it.
This movie, in the beginning, it just feels like it's Robert De Niro just like on a rage fest, and I don't
Is
know.
he a Raging Bull?
I don't know if it was just I wasn't in the mood for it or what. It just him screaming at his wife and throwing things at her, and then screaming at Pesci, who's like his brother. It just like I just don't want to watch this. This is not. It's not interesting. It's not getting me involved with like, oh, I really want to know who the character that Robert De Niro is playing. No, I was just like, I don't like this guy at all. I'm not. I don't know how I'm going to be rooting for him later, but
It sounds like
it's unfair.
If,
It's an unfair review. I've done this before where I've watched like a little bit of something, and yeah, it's
cares,
unfair,
yeah.
but I don't like it.
It sounds to me like Rocky got like infused with Paulie's personality.
Yeah, pretty much. And the last thing,
Can't wait to watch
I
it.
don't. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna get into this much, but we went last night back and watched Legally Blonde, and there's like a certain point at which like these like silly like I think of like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah.
What's the there's
There's
so many of
Congeniality.
them. Along Came Polly. There's like a bunch of them with Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, rom-coms,
Yeah, but there was like this point in like maybe 2002, 2003, where we were just talking about 50 First Dates. There's this point at which like they changed, and to me they just weren't. This is probably just me because I'm old, and that was like a good time in my life. But there was just a point at which I didn't feel like they were endearing as they used to be. And Legally Blonde, then the sequel, it never recaptured the magic. And there was something just very endearing about that movie. And that, as silly as it is, like, obviously it's about a blonde who goes to law school. I mean, it's silly. It's a silly movie, but there's something very endearing about the way that was shot, the way a movie like 50 First Dates, which I want to say that was like 2004, maybe. There was a period in there when there was just a lot of good movies, like going back to like maybe 95, 2004, like kind of in that time frame. There was a lot of good movies like that made, and Legally Blonde was another good one.
Yeah, the mindset was we have to get people to the theater to see these rom-coms. Now the Hallmark or Netflixification of a lot of these are like, maybe we don't have to try that hard. We know what they like, so let's just give them more of that.
Yeah, and it's a lot of throwaway movies now, and Yeah, I think the quality has really slipped because of that. We've already talked about that.
Yeah, we have. I
I
forgot.
hate how Netflix just throws money at these movies, and
Yeah.
it just feels like there's a flood of entertainment and very select few are actually good. It's very much true in the Christmas movie department. We've talked about that. That's sad. It's very sad. There's not that like Santa Claus movie being made anymore,
No, they're pretty
or
bad.
Elf. There's no movie like that being made. At least there hasn't been in recent times.
Yeah.
I'm ready for our next Elf. Elf quality entertainment.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, hopefully. I mean, I think at some point people are going to be like, "Okay, enough. I get it. She's rich and she goes to a farm and she thinks she's got everything and meets a young old ranch boy who teaches her
There's
the
original
way."
ideas out there. Come on.
Yeah.
51st States was a great idea for a movie. It was a great idea for a rom-com that was very original.
Yeah.
Legally Blonde, even that was a good original idea.
When people stop watching it, they'll stop, or at least unless something comes along that makes more money. Yeah, that's when the trend will change.
The
Hopefully.
Hallmark movie thing, it needs to die.
Yeah,
because it's just not original, and it's not good acting, and it's not good writing. It's people not trying, making movies that they're not trying very hard at.
My mom just leaves it on. Like every time I go to her house, it's just on, and it's some really bad stuff, man. It is.
And your mom knows good
painful.
cinema too.
She does. That's the thing.
She's watched some great movies. We had that conversation last time we were over there.
It's just, I guess, what you're willing to accept. I don't know. Like you can recognize greatness.
She doesn't feel like actually pulling out the good movies. She just wants something on, probably.
Something that's on. There's 2 billion of them, so you're not going to run out. It's always going to be something new, even though it is something. It's the same thing, but yeah. Anyway.
Quality of good. There's 2 billion of them.
Yeah, it's definitely the quantity. There's a lot.
Sign of quality, right?
Exactly. There's got like a clone machine where they just keep printing them out. Wow, great. Legally Blonde. That's a good one. Anywho, got anything else, man?
Topic.
All right, let's go. So there's not much going on, honestly. Looking at the news, like there's some things here and there, but I don't know. Nothing I have too much to say about. But last week, there were some numbers that came out based around video game sales, console sales, game sales, and I thought I would just bring up kind of an interesting thing. This is an exhausted list. I don't have in front of me like how much every single game, how much units every single game sold, but I have some.
These are like the off-the-shelf numbers.
Yeah, these are units sold.
But these don't count digital sales, right?
I don't know. I think they do. I believe they do.
That's where it all is right now.
Yeah, I know. Not a lot of people are just going to GameStop and picking up a copy or even ordering physical.
Very few.
Yeah. Things are moving digital. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I want to talk about kind of the thing that spawned this, because like the one thing that had me going, whoa, holy crap. Because first, let's start off saying things have been good for everyone. Everyone in the games industry who's been, wanting to make bank is making bank. Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, they are rolling in it right now. They are freaking rolling in it. A lot of these big games are doing really well.
Yeah.
It's across the board.
Warzone, Fortnite. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. We're one of the more interesting things, we can get into it later. It's like more and more I see with every generation, games are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's becoming like just this new medium.
And having longer legs than ever before.
Yeah, I mean, this is all like
the only thing before this was WoW. That was the only thing that had staying power.
Absolutely.
WoW and Global Offensive. What's the name of the game? The big expansion was Global Offensive back in the day. The shooter, the realistic shooter.
Was it Counter-Strike?
Yeah, Counter-Strike.
It's just like we're here. The movie industry is obviously on a break pretty much, and things are like almost at a standstill, which isn't good. I'm not celebrating that. And things like the Oscars and Golden Globes, like nobody's tuning in, nobody's watching. But things like the video games, everyone's showing up, meaning the people who are gaming harder than ever, and there's new people coming to the table. And I think this bodes
Mhm.
really well for games, and games have been like a godsend for a lot of people who weren't able to go places and who were stuck at home. I mean, this year, I mean, last year in 2020, especially, like games like Animal Crossing New Horizons. Like that's actually like,
Mhm.
when a year full of bad memories in 2020, I actually have a lot of good memories when it comes to games, when it comes to games coming out and just being like, well, I'm not going to do anything else. So I'll be at home when I'm not at work playing these
Yep.
games with my wife. And
Yep.
it would be a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, I have some numbers here. I just want to talk a little bit about them. And, if you have a computer in front of you and you look up some numbers of your own, um, yeah. But the thing that made me say, holy crap, was the Nintendo's numbers. Nintendo, this is like interesting to me. They've had their most 2020 was Nintendo's most profitable year ever.
Mhm.
That's crazy. And it's just like
Well, it's all. I feel like it's all stemming from kind of what we were saying. There's so many more people buying, so there's just a much larger market than there's ever been. It's like back in the days when they were like killing it with Super Nintendo, um, N64. Like there just wasn't as many people gaming as there was now,
yeah.
and there's so many people nostalgic gaming, and then so many young gamers. I mean, it's just the generations now are so many more than there used to be. It used to just be the younger people.
Absolutely. And
Crazy how much it's changed.
like in these, and we're having like, people are having kids who are gaming, like gaming parents, or raising gaming kids, and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
It's a big thing. And so like some numbers here. All right, so we're going to get into the other consoles and the other games, and the game that has sold the most by a good wide margin, the most successful game of 2020. But we'll start here with the Nintendo Switch as most profitable year, and it's sold, as far as total, they're almost at 85 million as far as consoles sold, and they're nipping at the heels of historically the most successful consoles, meaning like the PlayStation 2 and the Nintendo Wii. Let me look up the numbers to see where those are at right now and how many they sold, but they are getting darn freaking close. It is
84.4 is what I'm seeing right now.
for the Wii or the PS2.
No, 84.4 million like total.
Okay. Yeah, and so they're almost freaking there. And so that's a lot. That's freaking a lot. And so that's been the most successful console of 2020, which makes sense. The PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One were on the wane, and the new consoles are, while as we'll talk about, are still doing really well, are harder to get,
Yeah, very much so.
And so, I mean, it's amazing how many the new consoles have sold, um, based on just how hard it is still to freaking get them. And that's going to be like a continuing thing, as far as like people still struggling to get freaking Xbox consoles and
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation
Mm-hmm.
5s. It's yeah, but that's wild. And one of the big things here are that also kind of leads to its own discussion are the game sales. So the biggest one, I think, is Animal Crossing New Horizons. That's not a mystery that that everyone was talking about it. It sold 20 million copies, which is huge. And we're talking huge numbers internationally. That's crazy. And but after that, it's Mario. Just Mario, Mario, Mario. I'm talking the funniest one is Mario Kart Deluxe. How this year it sold 10 million and 35 million overall throughout its entire life. And it's like the Mario Kart has lapped its Wii U, like, Mario Kart 8
Mm-hmm.
version, like three
Mm-hmm.
times over, which is hilarious
It's
to me.
nuts.
These are old games, and this is what's filling out most of the Switch's top games are these older games that are being pretty much re-released onto their console. And so we can talk about how that might not be a great thing, but oh my gosh, these are the lessons that we're teaching them. I could say. Super Mario All Stars, 9 million. These are just games that are just been re-released. 9 million copies.
Yeah. I just, ugh,
9
crazy.
million.
It's crazy how Nintendo can tap into this market of old games, of nostalgia, of, you know, just a generation of people that grew up with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's unlike anything else in any other industry. I mean, there's no way for a movie franchise to do what Nintendo does, you know. I mean, sure, Star Wars, you know, probably the closest thing. You know, they've made a lot of money off of new movies, new games, you know, re-releases of the old movies, but nothing compared to what Nintendo has done. And Star Wars, you know, they have to bring out new stuff. They've only had limited success with re-releasing old stuff.
Yeah.
And some of that actually they haven't had success. People have been pissed about, but still, they you know, they've had some success. But it's just like Nintendo can just say, here it is, you know, sometimes unchanged. It's just here it is on the store. Come buy it.
Yeah.
You can now buy it on your Switch.
It's hilarious. We've talked about this before, how like if say if you know with the Tony Hawk games, they were like, hey guys, we're releasing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. Here they are. And they're just HD upgrades where it's just up-resed. People would be like,
yeah,
are you kidding me? Right?
Yeah.
Right? But with Nintendo,
it's crazy then the forgiveness they give Nintendo.
Yeah, absolutely. We're cheering for this sort of thing. And I'm part of the problem. I'm here buying and playing those games too. Then guess what the next one is? Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, which again, this is an old game. They've added Bowser's Fury, so at least they added a new game there, a shorter game.
This is on the heels of the announcement of all these, right? Last month. This is March.
Yeah, April. These are sales were announced in April, as far as and this game came out in March. So the game did really well. I mean, made 5.6 million. I mean, sold 5.6 million copies, which is pretty crazy for how little time it's been out. But I feel like that will kind of plateau. I feel like the people who wanted that game will have already gotten that game. And a surprise one that's in the middle there is Ring Fit Adventure, which is their exercise wheel and exercise game that came out. 7.3 million copies. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And like these are one of the ones where Wario64 would tweet out, it's available, guys. It's available, because this is something you could only get physically because of the fact you have to have the peripheral for it, the little exercise wheel that you attach your Joy-Cons to. I've never played this, but it's crazy how much that thing sold.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you have that with all their other games that came out. Not a ton of new stuff, but it's been an extremely successful year for Nintendo. And honestly, as far as I know, they have a lot of exciting stuff coming out, a lot of sequels. They had a new IP in Splatoon that was successful, but other than that, we're getting more of the same. But me and people are loving it. It's a strange tale to tell, isn't it? You know?
Oh yeah, it's such a strange mix of like, I'm just looking at like the whole 2020, the top 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's Avengers.
Marvel's Avengers. I know.
That's
saw that
top
too.
20 game of 2020.
By the way,
wow.
I was looking this up. We're nowhere close. Nowhere close to. I had no idea. Overall sales of the PlayStation 2 was 155 million. Yeah, so that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen anytime soon.
That's insane.
That's insane. That's insane. Everyone had a PlayStation 2 at that time.
Is
Yeah.
it? I mean, at that point, the Xbox was such an unknown thing too, so it kind of sat
Yeah.
alone as like the thing to own.
Exactly. And the GameCube, even for Nintendo at the time, that was kind of a freak at the time. So, and
Yeah,
a clear runway really for, the
yeah.
sequel to at the time, the PlayStation was extremely popular. So the sequel to that,
I would say that was the best follow-up console ever.
yeah.
I would say, as much as I liked my 360, there's definitely things I would have changed about the 360, but the PS2 was pretty solid all around.
It had a DVD player.
Yeah, that was a big deal back
That was a
then.
really big deal.
Yeah,
It had Dragon Guard on
kids
it.
these days, they won't know.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, congrats, number 20.
It made the list. That game, really cool. Yeah. But one of the big ones here, as far as games, Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War,
Yeah.
number 1.
Activision Blizzard is just a
Boom. Behemoth. That's I don't have the exact numbers as far as units for Cold War, but I will say this: sold 5 million copies in the first month, and it's grown so much since that. And so, yeah,
And I would say for me that was definitely a disappointment. I have not been happy with Cold War. Modern Warfare is absolutely amazing.
It
Cold War,
it lends to like the strength of the property too. I mean, like you think, okay, where everyone's playing Modern Warfare and they're playing Warzone, and it's just time to get the next one, right? It's the next one, and so
I think that's why it sold so well. Honestly, I think if people could have played like a demo or something, I don't know that I would have bought it. Honestly, because at this point, I almost don't play it. Like I played multiplayer for a while, but I go back to the multiplayer on Modern Warfare. It's just the Cold War. It feels arcadey, and I hate it when shooters feel arcadey. And I'm not going to get into a bunch of stuff. It's just I'm just kind of frustrated with. And they're talking about now. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted, but they're talking about now the next one being another World War II sequel, and
oh no,
I'm not here for that. I did not like that game that much.
But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this, like when you look at the top ones, I think a lot of it's next gen hype, because most of these games like Madden, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, these are next gen and cross gen games that are for both, and so they're gonna do insanely well. And so yeah, that's those are some big numbers.
We really haven't had a true like next gen game yet. I don't feel like we've had a single game that we can truly say like this is it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Miles Morales, I mean, yes, it was very next gen, but I still feel like the tech was held back very much by how early it was on. And I mean, honestly, all these games look great, so I'm not complaining. All these games look amazing.
Yeah.
But so, and even this whole generation has not been nearly as big of a leap. So it's just been a nice transition into better looking stuff. So like Miles Morales, like I didn't get to play it, but like from what it looked amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm certainly not saying any of these games don't look good. I mean, Resident Evil Village, it looks great, but I just want to know what the potential is. I'm just interested. Where's the ceiling of this new console? I don't feel like we even know.
Oh yeah, we are far from it. I feel like. I mean, we're gonna get good-looking games like Miles and even Valhalla. Like Valhalla is a very pretty game. It's like even going back to Origins, I'm like, yeah, this is a pretty game in its own right. I wish it was like redone like Valhalla because Valhalla is so pretty and it's so big and but yeah, it's very exciting to see like where we are at the very beginning to know where we can get. Like later on,
something like a Ghost of Tsushima, I feel like is like a game like that developed directly for Series X, PS5.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want a showpiece.
Absolutely, and I think we're probably another year or two away from that. I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
like just
seeing where things are going. I think really. I mean, I heard Returnal looks really great, but I really think the next one for PlayStation is going to be Ratchet and Clank. as
Yeah.
far as one of the big ones. But still, I think early days. I mean, when we start to
Yeah.
when we get Unreal Engine 5 and studios start playing around with that and getting into a lot of these, seeing what the new engines can do in these for these consoles. Oh boy.
And I think Ratchet and Clank is doing some awesome things, but I'm like, I want to see the like. Do you remember there was like a Doom trailer for like the new Doom, like way back in the day? And I don't even know if that game actually ever came out. It was like what they were going to do with Doom,
I
and
don't
then they
remember
ended
this.
up coming out with what they came out with. But there was like a Doom trailer where it was like completely just a tech demo, and it would just looked insane. I mean, it's like, are you sure this is in the engine? What are you running this on? Are you running this on NASA's servers? Like, but like, I just want something like that.
Yeah. That
Like,
just blows your mind.
I
Yeah.
certainly don't mean to like poo poo any of these other things. They're all doing like amazing things, and it's so awesome. I just personally, being like a shooter fan, I just want to see something like fully live action, whatever live action version of a video
Photorealistic,
game
yeah.
is. Yeah.
It's
Like,
you want to I know
open
what you want. You
world,
want an FMV video where you have to choose the
Yeah.
direction that the video goes, right?
it would be cool if somebody made a small game, like even if it was just a demo, and just make it look as amazing as the technology can be, just as like a little tech demo that you can play.
Yeah.
Like kind of like a, what's the Resident Evil teaser trailer game thing?
What, you talking about
PT.
PT?
Yeah, like a PT. Like it doesn't have to be horror. I mean, it can be horror, but something like that. That's just like, this is what both of these consoles can do, pushed to the absolute freaking max. The game's only 10, 15 minutes long or something, but it's just
Yeah.
like, this is as crisp as it can get. It'd just be cool to. I think both companies should do something like that. Just like, this is your new console, and this is what it can freaking do.
Agreed.
This is the first 8K demo game to come out in HDR at 480 frames.
I think we'll get there. I hope. Well, I don't know if we'll ever get that 15-minute demo where it's like, this is the pinnacle, but that'll be nice.
But they should. That would be fun.
should.
Like they did with the Unreal trailer during that PlayStation 5
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Like, why not turn something like that into a game that people just can download onto their console and just play?
Yeah, it would be cool if you could
You're
just download that and be like, here,
Yeah.
you can play this demo. Here it
Just
comes.
check out the amazing lighting. Like,
Exactly.
insane.
Yeah. A few things here as far as the consoles are selling really well. I think I don't have the numbers for last gen, but these are both improvements upon last gen, which, during a pandemic and short console supplies is amazing. The fact that both PlayStation and Xbox are selling more. PlayStation 5 has sold 7.8. That's up from 7. I know I have it from last year. I think it was up from 7.6 for the PlayStation 4 last year. So that's a slight improvement. And Xbox, the series consoles it's a little bit more, it's a little more difficult to get those because they haven't released the solid numbers. So this is like cobbled together from what they can find. They say 5.8. But I'm not sure if that is 100% correct. The article I found said that was the best estimate that they could come up with. And the Xbox One, let's see, sales.
I found some numbers, but it's from September of last year.
What
I don't know why it's so old.
Let's see. Xbox One. It's going to be really hard for me to find these numbers.
On Digital Trends, this is a March 25th thing, so it's a couple of months old. It says Xbox One around 46 million.
Okay. 46 million, like kind of in total.
It's saying it's the number 10 best-selling console ever.
Nice. Yeah, and I think that's even more. That's really impressive because they have a huge market in the United States, and not so much and in like Europe, but not so much in Japan, the same way that like PlayStation and Nintendo has a giant presence there. So good numbers all around. It's crazy how like it's even like with the pandemic and people like being not everyone having cash to spend on consoles, being able to do this, and also like with again the shortage is insane. I've never seen anything like this as far as how bad it is. It was not this bad when Nintendo Switch launched. It was not this bad when the PlayStation 4 came out. It just wasn't. Or with the Wii, where people were going to stores and asking, "Hey, do you have a
we can't
Wii?"
get gas, Jordan.
Yeah, now it's
Much
gas.
less consoles.
Yeah, that's right. Gas shortage. I'm glad you were able to show up for your podcast, even though we're doing it from home.
Yeah. I mean, there's a shortage of a lot of stuff. There's a shortage of lumber. There's a shortage of steel.
Homes, as I'm finding out.
Yeah. There's people that are trying to build an addition onto their house next door, and they're having trouble finding the steel to put it in the concrete to like build the foundation to even start building.
Yeah.
And then on top of how ridiculous the sales are for lumber. So yeah, I mean, it's affecting a lot of things. Definitely our consoles.
Oh yeah, the conductors or whatever. What do they call it? I don't know. But either way, like the chipset and all that stuff, the graphics card, they're having a hard time cobbling these things together. And I think, I don't know, it might get worse before it gets better. So if you're out there still looking for one, the same advice that we gave at the beginning still follows. Wario64 is still posting these things when they post. When they come up on sites, it's still the best way to get these.
That's crazy. I feel so blessed that I have one.
Oh, I know. I feel scared that I have one sometimes. I'm like, honey, did you lock the door? All right, great. Let me double check that thing. All right, great. Is anyone in there? I see a motion at my Ring camera. Hey,
get away, get away, get away.
Get your own PS5. Get your own Series S.
I'm definitely inside.
I'm in here. I'm in here. I'm a really buff person. Believe me.
I've got an attack cat. Watch it.
But yeah, man, I feel like I'm wondering when, like, I'm guessing maybe by holiday season, do you think things are going to be different? Like by holiday 2021, do you think things are going to be better and it's just going to be like even crazier for these new consoles?
I don't know. It would be, it has everything to do with the chain, of, raw materials to the manufacturers and then manufacturers shipping it over here. And with the hiring problems we're having around here, I don't know how long those are going to be. I think these unemployment benefits are going to end, and hopefully that pushes people back into working. But it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what the future is. I think that these problems are short term, but I don't know what problems are happening in other countries that you and I aren't attuned to. So I don't know where the factories are in China, and I don't know what's going on in Japan. I don't know who Sony, who Nintendo uses, to source their, making of their consoles. But I think that would be the big thing to know is how available are those raw materials? Like, is it a problem where like something shut down and never reopened because of the pandemic, and therefore those raw materials aren't being mined, as far down as that? And then of course, that super affects everything above, because like we just said, like chips are the problem. So it's like you're starting right at the chip, you're starting at the silicone, and without the silicone, you can't do anything else. So cars are, being shut down. Cell phone manufacturing is being shut down. Of course, computers, and then of course consoles. And I would assume that the building of these and the divvying out of the chips is probably at this point being like divvied up by like importance. So I would guess like computers would be more important than a video game console. So like that could put them a little bit further behind in the line of what's being manufactured. I don't know. I'm talking out my butt right now, but assuming that it is like something that important, it's like I would think vehicles being made and computers being made would be higher up on the list, and therefore slowing down the production of our precious consoles even more. That's just me, guessing.
I mean, yeah. And do you think also, like, where do you think demand will be by the time, like, say, late this year, next year? Do you think it's going to get crazier as far as demand?
I really do. I don't think there's going to be any slowdown of demand for these things. I think I think people are going to come out of quarantine, but I think there was something I read once, and it had to do with like working out or like just bettering yourself. It was like if you do something consistently for 5 months, it becomes your new lifestyle.
Yeah.
So like if you can develop a good habit of doing push-ups every day or stretching every day or eating broccoli every dinner you eat or something, then that becomes your new lifestyle. And I think video games have gotten to that point where now people have been forced home for long enough that it is their new lifestyle for a lot of people. And so I don't think those things are going to change in the future. I think, and that's another reason that I feared with the movie theaters. Not, you don't go to the movie
Yeah,
theaters
getting used to
for
not
so
going.
long that it just becomes your new habit to watch your movies at home and not even bother checking the app and seeing what's in the theaters. So that scares me for the theaters, but I think it is a really good thing for video games. I mean, we've talked about it over and over again, the fact that the market has grown so much. But I think, like I said, I think it's a new habit for people, and I think it's a new thing that they're going to stick with for a long time. And I think the demand, I think these are going to be the highest selling consoles of all time. I think they're going to blow everything else out of the water because, PlayStation 2 sold 155 million consoles. That's incredible. It's incredible for the time period it was. It's just everyone had to have it. But I think everyone has to have the new consoles. So many people playing online. There's just so many advantages to the new consoles. And I think we're still at that point where the old consoles are very much being used to play with the new consoles in crossplay. And I think as that changes, I think the demand for the new consoles will become, the whole market. Right now it's kind of split, old consoles, new consoles. And I think Series X, PS5 are going to, I think they're going to be neck and neck. I don't know that Xbox is going to catch up to PS5, but I do think that they were both, I think it'll be like PS5 has 120 million, Xbox has 85, 90 million. I think it's going to be something like that.
Yeah,
And
I feel
think
like
that demand's going to stay for a long time.
Yeah.
Just because not the production. And I think the amount of sales that they would have at this point would just be astronomical if those consoles being, put on shelves every week.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think if it's not going to be like, say, like we looked at PlayStation 2 numbers and 150 million or whatever, that generation.
Right here, NPD, PlayStation 5's first months are best ever for US console launch.
Crazy.
That says it right there.
And it's like, I feel like it's going to be the probably most profitable year for video games moving forward, and even getting crazier, because as we see with like most generations, there's like one or two consoles that are just doing great, and then there's one that's like, you get your PlayStation 3, your PlayStation 4 and your Xbox One, then you got your Wii U, and then you got your Wii, and you got your Xbox 360, and then you got your PS3, and so it's like, but this year and like this generation, everyone wants these. Everyone's excited about these. Everyone's happy about these. And that's going to lead to some crazy things, I think, this year, where it's like everyone's just playing. I think it's going to lead to a lot of cross-platform, as you said, a lot of cross-play, where everyone is kind of rising. That's exciting. And I think that's really cool. And that's good for everyone. I think it's bad when one is dragging. I think a really successful Nintendo is good for Sony and Xbox, and really successful Microsoft's good for Sony. And it's good that everyone's doing well, keeps everyone on their A game. And I think we're going to get some great stuff. And so
the other thing that developed in this past console that was never before was the number of people streaming games online. And the number of people watching people streaming, and of course that inspires them to play those games. That's been something that's never been true before. Especially competitive shooters online. There's just never been an audience of people watching people every single night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like, and I think that inspires so many sales as well. And of course, that those people see the people streaming are playing on the new console, and they're playing the new game that you can only get on PS5, Xbox Series X, and so they have to have it. And that's been something that didn't push PS2 sales, didn't push PS3 sales, didn't even push really Xbox One. You know,
Yeah, I know.
what's the other one? PlayStation 4. I'm sorry. I got texted like right in the middle of that sentence. And so I'm like reading that and my mind like completely went blank with what I was saying. So.
The only one that has a linear numbered system.
It's hard. It's hard for the brain to do two things at once. It like popped up on my computer right in front of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been so different. It's like, it's kind of reminds me of like if you were a sports fan and you were to watch like Jordan playing like on the Bulls back in the day, and you see like his basketball shoes, and so like you see Jordan like drop 35 40 points on the Magic or something, and you're like, I have to have those shoes, you know, or he plays the flu game and he wins the NBA championship, and it's like, I have to have, you know, a Jordan jersey, I have to have that. And it's like the same kind of thing for me, like slightly. I mean, obviously I'm old enough that I'm not like the big dorky fan, but when I see Shroud, when I see Shroud like tearing people up on PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or Warzone, or you know, some new like battle royale game, I have to go play that game. And obviously these other companies know that because they've paid these streamers like Ninja so much money to come over to what, Facebook Gaming now, and what used to be the old Microsoft streaming. I can't even remember the name of that service anymore. But yeah, it's crazy. It's just that inspirational thing, I think, is really going to reverberate in the sales of these consoles as well. And that's something we've never seen before. It'll be interesting to see what this new market even is. I don't feel like we really even have a feel for it with such a weird year and such a constriction on, you know, the number of consoles that have been able to ship, and manufacturing and hiring, and people not having as much money because they didn't have jobs. Like there's so many reasons why there could have been just we could be looking at just ridiculous numbers if we had the shutdown, but then things opened up, everybody was working and everybody had money and all the manufacturing was up. I think this just would have blown the doors off everything. And as it is, it's still crazy. So it's cool.
It's
cool
good to see. It really is. I mean, it's a funny thing to say, but I'm glad video games are doing well. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, when we were kids, when we were in middle school or high school, you don't talk about video games. It was one of those things. You were a freaking nerd if you play video games. Like a lot of people, you had your group. Oh, sweet! I found someone who plays video games I can talk to.
Yeah.
And now it's like it's becoming a thing it can't be ignored for much longer. You know, it's like again, as we said, everything is dipping down. Movies, awards show, mainstream media, like, you know, CNN, Fox News, their viewership is going down, and less and less people are tuning in, and video games are on the rise. And so it's going to be interesting what that means for our culture as well, and for video games as a whole. And that's, for me, I think that's exciting. Video games are a great medium, and there's so much you can do with them. Like playing games, to me, like Nier, it shows me what, like, I keep seeing like what new things video games can do. And it's an art form that I think is on the rise, and that's great.
Yeah. I always feel conflicted when I sit down at the TV. I mean, I love watching movies. I love watching shows, but there is a big draw to me to like have that interactive medium. It's just, I like kind of doing something. I like interacting, you know, whether it's me playing a shooter or me playing an adventure game. Like I like building something, doing something, building a world, going through a story, you know, learning something. It just, there's something about it that like draws me just a little bit more than like watching, you know, a passive movie or TV show.
Yeah.
It's something been like that for quite a while for me. End up spending my time playing more games a lot of times because of that.
Yeah. Anyways, good news all around, I think. It's good to have some good news, but yeah, I think that anything else you want to say on that topic?
No, I just as awesome as it is celebrating the games, I feel torn between like, I'm so glad that games have expanded and I'm so scared for the movie theaters. It's like our two things that we talk about week to week, and I feel like both of those things are in such a different place right now, and such an unsure future for what will movie theaters look like in the future. I don't know. I can theorize, but my theories are grim and gray, and they're not great. But I hope for the best.
We need movies too. I mean, like they're different mediums of art and
Yeah.
like entertainment. They're just, you can get something from a movie that you can't get from a video game and vice versa. It's, and same
Yeah.
with books. I mean, books and movies and TV shows, all that stuff, they're different. I mean, we do a podcast that combines them, but they are so different in the way that you're engaging with it. And it's important that they all exist, I think.
Yeah, and I think you saying that we need them. I think that's actually important. My dad, he's a very casual movie fan. He enjoys his action shoot 'em up kind of movies. And what do you think the one thing that he asked me, and he's asked it me before? What do you think? It's probably the thing that a lot of people his age or even middle-aged people are wondering. When's the next James Bond movie coming out? You know? And then there's, of course, there's fans of franchises. And when's the next Fast and Furious franchise coming out? And unfortunately, it's still a little ways away. And I fear for these movies because they have to bridge that gap between now and in October when the new James Bond movie comes out. And that's the thing that brings butts to seats. And they don't have those things yet. We talked about it in our episode about all the movies that's coming. There's a lot of great movies coming, but there's also some time in between. And
got a gap here. Yeah.
Stuff like Mortal Kombat is just, it's not going to cut it, unfortunately. It's, as much as we enjoyed that, it's pretty niche, honestly. How many people are going to go to the theater, sit down, pay that $12 for a ticket and see that movie? And yeah,
absolutely.
It makes me worried. I didn't really think about that when we talked about that movie schedule, but the first few months back are going to be big. Management is going to make decisions on whether or not these theaters are able to stay open. And I'm sure they're sitting on a razor's edge right now, and we pay the rent for the next month of all our theaters across the country. It's got to be tough.
Yeah. I mean, guys, if your local theater is open, see what movies are playing, go check it out. I mean, if like you have
watch Nobody before it comes out of theaters.
Nobody, exactly, before you lose your chance. You know what? I think from what I can understand, these subscription services, they're good for the theaters. The theaters like these. They're good for their revenue. So if you have an area that has either A-List for AMC or Regal Ultimate for your Regal theaters, take a look. See if you can make that investment. Go see a movie a few times a month. And it'll be worth it, and you'll support your local theater. So yeah, and of course, if you have like a truly local theater that's independently owned, check them out.
Oh, yeah, I feel bad for those guys.
Doubly
especially.
hard for them. So yeah. But is there anything you're going to be seeing, just to kind of go into that a little bit? Is there anything that you're going to be seeing maybe this weekend or next week? I know there's only a few movies coming out, but there's some stuff.
Yeah, I'm opening the app. There was something I thought it's Those Who Wish Me Dead is coming up this weekend.
Yeah,
so
I'm looking to see that. Maybe we can see that together.
we'll try to see that.
Yeah,
that was the one I had mentioned in our little thing about.
Yeah, Spiral's coming out. The reviews aren't looking great, but I might still go see it. For Spiral. I'm still interested in it. Could be. It looks different to me. So yeah, we'll go to theaters. But anywho, I think that's our show. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week, right?
Amen. See ya.
I like that. It's a nice way to end. Amen.